Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we are diving into the world of VBA or Visual Basic for applications to show you a cool way to concatenate selected values in Excel and copy the result to your clipboard with just one click. First things first, let's open up VBA window. You can do that by pressing Alt F11 or going to your developer tab and then clicking Visual Basic. If you do not see the developer tab, you can go to File menu, Options, and here in Customize ribbon, make sure that developer tab is selected and then click on OK. So let's go to the VBA screen. You can either save the current file as macro workbook or you can save the macro in your personal macro workbook. Let's create a new module. From insert, click on module. We'll start the module with sub and then we give a good name. So let's call it concat selected values. And as soon as you press enter, you will see around parentheses NNN sub, which means everything till now is working great. Next, we will declare our first variable that will be range that will store our selection. So let's declare a new variable. Let's call it dem rng as range, and we will declare another variable that will be result or that will store our result. So let's declare dem result as string. Now let's set the range variable to currently selected visible cells. We can do that using set rng equals selection. So if you just leave it like this, it will select all of the values that you have selected right now and it will not consider the visible rows only. So if you want to select the visible rows from your selection, you will need to add that is special cells. We will say Excel cell type visible. Great. And so I have a typo here. That is why it's not capitalizing. And now you can see it has capitalized it properly. Next, we'll prompt the user to input a delimiter using an input box. If the user does not specify a delimiter, let's default it to comma followed by a space. So let's add an input box here. Input box, which will be equal to delimiter. Using an input box is very simple. You will give the prompt that will show when your code runs. It's just a description of what your input box is about. So let's add our first value here that will be enter delimiter to use. Default is comma space. This is our first parameter. If you click on comma, it will jump you to the next parameter. And if you can see here, it has square brackets around it, which means that this is an optional parameter. You can skip it or you can use it as per your requirement. We can skip the title. We can get the default value which we want is comma space round parentheses close the input box. This variable delimiter here will store our delimiter. So let's declare it as well. This will be a string as well. Great. Now for the fun part. We loop through each cell in the selected range and then we will need to concatenate their values onto the result string we declared earlier with the chosen delimiter in between each value. So let's start a for loop. So we say for each cell in. So the area we want to loop is already stored in the range variable. So we say rng. And then we say next cell. This completes our for loop. If we just want to see what the values are within the loop, we can simply do a debug.print. It's always easier to do this before actually going through with your code. So let's say debug.print cell. So let's say we select these three values and we run our code. It's giving us the input box which we added. So it says enter delimiter to use. Default is comma, which was the description. The title we left blank, which is why it says max of Excel. And the comma space is the default delimiter it gives us already. Let's click on OK. And as soon as it comes to this loop, it has printed three values. That is Louis, Mickey, Phyllis, and Constance. Which means that it was able to pick the correct values from the filtered data. As you can see, there is a filter between 6th and 9th row, which means that there is some data between this. Let's say if I remove this section here, if I comment this out and I rerun this again, we should see that it will print. The immediate window will print all of the values between 5 through 9, ignoring the filter we have in place right now. Let's test it for now. I'm just gonna comment out delimiter as well. Run it, and you can see so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 values, and here we only have 3 selected values. All right, so let me reverse the changes we made, uncomment this and uncomment this. All right. So now we have a way to access each value within our loop. Okay, so let me comment this and let's write our code which will actually concatenate each value using delimiter. So we will say result equals result and cell.value. So it will concatenate result with itself and then the cell's value, which is each value in the loop. In this case, we have Louis as first value, Phyllis as second, and Constance as a third value. So each time it's concatenating each value with the result variable and then adding a delimiter at the end. So we add a delimiter at the end as well, the one we selected above right here. Great. Last thing we'll do is we will add a function, clipboard function. Not going to go through the details for this one. As a high-level summary of the function, the clipboard function uses HTML file object to interact with system clipboard, and the basic function of it is to copy the value to the clipboard, whatever the value we give to the function as input. So let's call the function here. The function is clipboard, and the value you want to be copied to clipboard is the result variable we have right here. Right. So let's test our code and see if we have the correct value that is being printed to the clipboard. So let me run the macro. I can keep this selected, that's fine. We have it copied to the clipboard, so let's paste it here. Okay, works good, but we can see that we have a comment space at the end, which means that we need a way to figure out and get rid of the comment space at the end. Since we know that our delimiter is stored in the delimiter variable, we can simply add a logic here. So we will say, we will take left of the result variable, and the length we will use is length of result. So the length of this variable, that is this one, minus the length of delimiter. What this is going to do is this will remove the last two values from our result variable. So let's test our logic. Let's put this equals to result. So this line effectively is doing is it is removing the last two values that are stored in the delimiter. That is the length of the delimiter. Great. Let's test our code again. Let's keep these three values selected just so we can compare them. Let's keep the default comma space selected. Paste it here. Okay. For some reason, it has not updated our values. Let me save our macro and let's run it again. Okay, so I figured out that there is a spelling issue with this delimiter here, which is why the code is not working. So let's test it again. Leave it selected. Click on OK. Paste it here. And boom. You can see that we don't have any extra values at the end. Now what we'll do is let's remove the filter and let's try to run the macro on some different values with a different delimiter. So let's say we want to use pipe here without any extra spaces. We just want to see if our logic on the result variable is working. Paste it here, and you can see we don't have any leading or trailing spaces at the end of this variable. Great. Let's test it on filtered values as well. So let's say we just want top three values. We want the name of those. So let's select the macro, run it, and this time we are going to use tilde sign. Click on OK, paste the values here, and you can see good enough. We don't have any extra spaces or delimiters at the end. Great. And that's it. A simple yet powerful VBA script to make your data manipulation task a breeze. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest tutorial. If you have any other ideas or projects you want me to work on, let me know in the comment section. Till next time, thanks for watching and happy coding.